Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Clayton, and I'm Head of Partnerships for the AVGL and Boom TV, as well as Program Manager for the Summit. Our goal with Intel Inspires is to create the most impact as possible for student gamers, and there's no better place to start than with the schools and educators that support them. We've put together a diverse group of speakers and partners to share best practices to help expand the inclusivity and accessibility of the value of scholastic esports programs. Don't miss out on asking questions during speaker presentations, setting up meetings with fellow attendees, and attending different sessions. The platform will be open this entire week, so you can continue to set up meetings and network beyond just these 2 days. I'd like to give a huge thank you to our partners, Intel, CDW, and MSI, and especially my partner at Intel, Sierra Reed, who's made this event possible. I'd also like to introduce my colleague, HB Duran, who you'll see throughout the event. She's a veteran video game journalist, and she will be hosting this event. Now let's get the summit started. The first session is the keynote from Troy Severson at Intel. Troy is responsible for driving global consumer sales of Intel gaming products. He works with retail OEM and reseller partners, along with Intel's field sales team, to develop and execute sales strategies. And here's Troy's session. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Troy Severson from Intel's Global Consumer Sales Team, and I look after worldwide PC gaming sales with our retail, our reseller, and OEM partners. I am privileged today to be welcoming you to Intel Inspires 2021. And one of the first questions I always get is, why am I so passionate about gaming and esports? So I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit of story about my personal journey with esports. And yes, it starts with me playing some games when I was quite a bit younger, but it actually, my passion really starts from my son, Cole. This is him at 12 years old. And he was at 12, he was like a lot of 12-year-old boys, didn't have a lot of aims in life, did not have a lot of passions. And so we started to try to figure out what those were. And one of the things he started doing was actually participating in esports gaming with some of his older cousins. And he was really fortunate in that some friends of one of those older cousins was getting his degree in computer science. And that led to Cole start to experiment with Java programming. And Java programming led to C++ programming. And now, 10 years later, this is my son, Cole. He's an employee at Microsoft, doing programming and doing well. And a lot of that is because of his involvement early on in esports and gaming. Now, I know that's not everyone's story, but it does give us a clue as to why Intel and why I'm so passionate about esports and gaming, and especially now as it does apply to esports in education. I think a lot more people should have the same opportunity and the same structure that my son had growing up. So why esports in education from an Intel perspective? And again, I'm super passionate about this, so if I seem excited, you now know the background of that. But obviously for Intel, gaming's a big business, right? In 2020, we reached $36 billion in sales of the hardware aspect of gaming and esports alone. So that's, selling of PCs, selling of peripherals and monitors, $36 billion. Now, we're also really big into thinking that esports has been a major driver against the growth of this industry. So we're 495 million people worldwide are involved in esports, either as viewers, players, or consumers and generators of this content. So why is esports and education important to that industry? Well, the industry started, and it's had some problems even as it's gone through growth, right? There's been toxicity, right? How the communities have grown have been very difficult. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of the news around some of the issues. So at Intel, to ensure I would say the healthy growth and the healthy continued growth of gaming and esports, we're very committed to what we call industry stewardship. So it's interacting with the gamers directly. We do that through Reddit. We do that through gamer communities and our relationships with gamers. And we really want to help build a more healthy gaming industry through diversity and inclusion and anti-toxicity and working with our partners. We believe that esports and education is one of the key foundational blocks for that. It's an opportunity for role modeling, for growing up in a gaming and esports environment with positive role models, with a structure and a foundation for fairness and sportsmanship. And so esports and education for us is part of our industry stewardship and how we're going to grow a much healthier and much, nicer, fairer esports and gaming industry and environment and community overall. A second reason is that, again, our focus on education, we've really seen a lot of these new societal pressures and trends and influences on education. And the pandemic really only accelerated a lot of these influences, right? Whether it's a growing gap between the job skills required and education and the classes and curriculum, or whether it's, again, now moving into more of a hybrid structure, whether it's in education or in the workplace, right? Working from home, being a hybrid in office, some virtual, some face-to-face, all of these things are changing how education is delivered and the requirements of education. And we firmly believe that esports is, again, a great way to engage with the students, to integrate technology into the education system, and allows a common language of passion between the students, the instructors, and really helps the education system deliver the things that students need to progress. And again, like my son, get the skills and the knowledge necessary to really be great workers in the workplace in the future. So again, two reasons: we want a healthy gaming industry, and we believe that education is a great foundation for working that technology into the curriculum and into students' language and teachers' language as well. So what does this look like in the future? We've seen great momentum in esports and education, but what do we really think that the future looks like? And I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm saying I think esports has a great opportunity to achieve the same status or equal status as traditional sports, especially in the K-12 environment. We've seen football and baseball and basketball, right, get a lot of attention at those levels. But it's kind of interesting because when you go out and look at it, 73% of high school students identify as gamers, and yet only 56% of high school students participate in high school athletics. So there's a big gap there that we can fill with esports in the educational space. And if you look at the benefits of traditional athletics, whether it's teamwork and collaboration, whether it's learning leadership or community building, right? All of these things can also be benefits of esports in the education environment. Plus, esports also provides other benefits, right? We've talked about it. A platform for STEM plus A education. So getting kids interested in science, technology, and engineering, right? As well as now extending that to arts, whether it's through graphic design, streaming and broadcasting, or actually talking about and writing about, the events that go on. Also, right, it is a direct platform to talk about, technical career paths. Again, my son's a perfect example of this, where engaging in esports got him interested in game development, which got him interested in programming. I got to admit, too, he doesn't actually program games. He programs in the cloud and Azure world. So that while he got the interest there, is not actually what he's doing in his career. It was the path that got him there. But also, right, gaming and esports provides a great lever for diversity and inclusion, right? In esports, we even see kids with disabilities having the opportunity to play alongside every other kid. I don't know that can ever happen in traditional sports, but esports provides that great opportunity, that great platform for diversity and inclusion. So we've seen a lot of momentum, and what are the and that growth has led to opportunity. So Now, esports can provide, similar to traditional sports, new opportunities to engage with the community, whether local or actually even, national types of engagements. If you look at the pictures on the left side of this slide, we're used to seeing that traditional outfilled wall filled with local advertisements for local services at a high school. But we also see like local national chains of retailers now implementing esports arenas. This would be a great way for high schools to engage with those local retailers, right? Hosting events is what those stores do. So go and look for those opportunities to engage around esports and technology with those local community businesses. This is a great way and a great opportunity for locals to engage. Also, right, there's new opportunities in curriculum, and you're seeing a lot of organizations now, and I put a couple on here, that are starting to generate really creative curriculum around esports and how that can engage with the students and provide a platform for technology learning, but also other types of learning in the education environment. So this is a place where there's really a lot of development and a lot of opportunity going on for educators to tap those resources that are out there. Additionally, again, it's all about student engagement. And esports provides new ways to engage with students, whether it's doing things like building PCs, which, again, this is a big area for Intel. We're providing hardware, providing the capabilities through our resellers for kids to build PCs, to learn about the technology inside, as well as building the communities where those kids can game together, play together, and again, get a community of which they're a member, and they now understand technology, how it applies in their life, and how it can provide a future path to careers. So what is Intel going to continue to do in this area? We're going to continue to do what we do best. That includes developing innovative new technology. We just introduced our new 12th gen core desktop processors, which provide, generation over a generation, a 20% increase in gaming and multi-threaded performance. And that means, again, we're really looking at esports and the game plus stream plus background operations as a way that we need to continue to improve the performance of our products. Additionally, because it's not just about a CPU and GPU performing, Intel continues to work on innovative platform technologies, whether it's networking efficiency through things like our killer Wi-Fi, or through connecting a lot of peripherals to a thing like Thunderbolt or USB, 3.0 and 4.0. So Intel's going to continue to invest in the hardware that supports these types of user models and user experiences and improving those user experiences. Additionally, we're going to continue to work with the industry at large, which includes optimizing software. And this is software optimized both in terms of the games that are played in esports, but also, again, that content creation and that arts side of the equation. So again, when games are being played, whether it's art being developed for those games, whether it's art and streaming and video, we optimize with those software vendors to make sure that we have the best experience from end to end that you can possibly get. And Intel will continue to invest with these developers as we move forward so that they have involvement in curriculum and involvement in the education institutions. And last, we're going to continue to invest in the segments and drive the growth, drive the momentum. So Intel will continue to invest in events like Intel Inspires. We're actually investing in China and Europe as well as the United States on education and esports and how those two things intersect. And we'll continue to invest in the education segment, where again, technology is going to be playing a larger and larger role. So we really hope that these investments continue to generate and drive the momentum for a healthy gaming and esports, and hence technology career paths and education for more students, not just in the US, but worldwide. So thank you very much for listening to my keynote today. I'm going to stand by for some questions, and welcome again to Intel Inspires 2021. Hi, I'm Troy Severson from
Hi, everyone. I'm HB Duran, your friendly neighborhood esports journalist. Got a lot of glare on my glasses there. I hope everyone's having a great time so far. Want to thank everyone for coming today. And we have Troy here live to answer your questions. I'm already seeing a couple roll in. And so I would like to start off with Troy, how does Intel work with schools?
Generally, we do a lot of what I would call, technology engagement, resource, and provide resources to schools. But in general, a lot of our hands-on doesn't actually go directly with schools as much as we do work through our partners. So you'll know here at Intel Inspires, one of our big partners is CDW, and we really rely on CDW pretty directly for them to be out working with the schools hands-on. We'll do a lot more of sort of the education and a lot more of sort of the marketing and the innovation around the ideas and around the solutions. But we really look for CDW as our partner to help execute and implement those solutions. Same thing with MSI on the PC side. So while our CPUs and a lot of our technology are in the platforms that MSI provides, we really look at MSI to provide those platforms directly to the students or directly to the consumers who want to use that technology.
Great. I'm assuming people can get a hold of your partners here. How can they, is there a website or anything that you recommend people go to so that they can look into that equipment?
Yeah, and they can go. I know we've got a direct website for MSI in terms of the PC platforms that are available for esports arenas and esports, lab type setups. And again, they can work directly with CDW on the design of those arenas and actually all the solutions around that, so that they can have the networking setups, even the furniture, as well as the PCs.
Great. Now we have another question here. Do you think that Intel's rollout of new GPUs is going to alleviate some of the market pressures so that schools might actually be able to afford to get gaming decent computers? That's a great question.
Yeah, and we are really looking forward to the graphics rollout that Intel's announced, our new Intel Arc graphics for gaming and for content creation. So we do know that there's been, and it's really not just, excuse me, not just been the GPUs that are in short supply, but it's been a lot of different of the platform technologies, whether it's been, ICs for power management, whether it's been LCD panels for gaming laptops. But there's been a lot of shortages with a lot of different components for gaming platforms that have sort of driven up some of the prices. And yeah, we do expect that not just Intel shipping those third party and those components, but that we'll see, kind of a loosening of the supply of all of those things that should bring some of the prices down, should make, supply a little bit more available come Q1 2022. And again, hopefully that does make all of these platforms more accessible to the education institutions, as well as, the students who are trying to buy them for their home PCs, whether they're, going to school for their first time or looking to upgrade or get a new PC. So yes, we think Intel's entry into the GPU market will help that supply situation, but overall, we expect the supply situation to improve in 2022.
I didn't even consider that, but so many kids are still learning from home. And what does that mean for them if they're part of an esports program? So that's really great. And that kind of leads me to another question. We've got some people that wanted to kind of bounce off of what you said. Can you explain a little bit more of who CDW is in relation to Intel?
Yeah, I mean, CDW is kind of our last mile solution provider, right? So they go out and work with the education institutions. They work with the real end users to build that entire solution. So CDW, right, they're able to pull networking as well as the CPU and the platform technologies from Intel, but also offer the OEM PC finished platforms from people like MSI. So CDW is really our solutions partner in that space, able to provide everything from the design in to factoring the whole solution from the PCs to the furniture to the networking to the servers, if you will, that an educational institution needs for the whole esports arena or esports lab solution.
Outstanding. And so do you have any cool stories that you've heard of with schools using Intel equipment or just in esports in general? What inspires you?
Oh, the thing that inspires me most, and we've been working through a couple of our different sponsorships to do this, but delivering the components and working with some of our partners to actually allow the students, and I talked a little bit about this in my keynote, the students actually come in and build their PCs that go into their esports labs, which, you know, it sounds complex, but honestly, in today's world, there's so many standards around the components that go into a gaming PC, for example. It's pretty efficient to go in and build those PCs and then put them into the labs. And so seeing the students' excitement on their faces when they walk into a lab and the fun that they have actually doing the work and rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty, not really dirty, but getting their hands on the equipment and building those PCs is really cool. And we've shared some videos. And I know there's been some videos shared through Intel Inspires of students seeing their completed labs for the first time. When you see that happen, that really, really puts a smile on your face.
I remember in high school, I'm quite a bit older than some students here. I won't say how much older, but I remember when we got our first computer lab. And for me, I'm totally jealous that kids get to play games as a sport because I was terrible at sports, even though I'm really tall. So I thought, oh yeah, volleyball, not good at that. Oh, basketball, not good at that. But I played a lot of video games, and there was no competitive Super Mario Brothers or, going to the arcade, but it was really cool to see, like, I'm living vicariously through these kids now. I'm like so excited because that first computer lab, even though, it was not that great by today's standards, as an artist, that really opened up possibilities for me. I learned digital art in high school. There was no class for it, but it was there for me to play with and learn. And so I know firsthand how great that is to get your hands on something new and play with it. And then you get ideas for the things you want to do. So we have another question coming in here. A big difference between esports and traditional sports is that traditional sports sticks to the known games, but esports is consistently or constantly evolving. So which current games do you think are most likely to last as the baseball of esports, so to speak?
Well, and it's a really good point, right? Because technology does tend to evolve a lot faster than traditional sports. But I think the other benefit you give. So I'm going to answer this question in two parts. First, I'm going to say, I'll just say League of Legends, Rocket League, and if you look at later on in collegiate, CSGO and Valorant, right? They have been really strong. They have stayed. Valorant's pretty new, but CS, Counter-Strike, and League of Legends have honestly had really good legs in the esports, and doing things like changing the maps, changing the characters allows them to evolve without changing dramatically, right? I mean, just like in baseball, we saw people move from wooden to aluminum bats. It's kind of like that's the change going on with CSGO and League of Legends. And I'll evolve that into, you brought up a really good point in talking about, some of us kind of missed the esports evolution in schools, if you will. But what I see happening now is that, a lot of younger parents like me grew up playing computer games, and they're better positioned now. When my kids were going through middle school and high school, I coached competitive basketball, I coached lacrosse, and now you're seeing parents that are better equipped really to maybe be those volunteer coaches of esports, just as maybe I was a traditional sports coach as when I was a parent of those kids. So we're going to see parents play a more critical role, I think, in esports rollout in K through 12 than they have in the past, because now parents are much more in touch with the technology, in touch with the value and the benefits, and much more prepared to actually be helpful to those programs as they grow in K through 12. So that's another thing I would call out for the educators is reach out to those parents. There's a lot of us who are knowledge worker employees or who have some experience with gaming and esports, and rely on them to help build those programs.
That's great. And speaking of K through 12, someone asked a great question when K through 12's largest issue is budget. What do you think the best way to approach that issue is?
Again, there's two ways. I mean, one is, the formal, and again, I do hope that this develops more, where there's a formal technology plan, either within districts or within the schools. At the same time, again, I look back at my own kids, and I know we did a lot of fundraising, for band, for lacrosse, for basketball. And I think there's more actual fundraising opportunities within the community, probably for esports, than there may even be for traditional sports because of that technology edge, right? So this is an opportunity where, again, we can get involved with either, local retailers or local technology companies. One thing I didn't tell about the evolution of my son's, progression from esports into a technology career was that he did a free internship for a small company where, again, he was in there doing Java programming, and helping that small company. But the small company had actually contributed money back to the scholarship program in their high school district. So there's new ways, I think, between esports because of that technology element, sometimes the design and graphics, arts development that you talked about, where we can involve local companies that maybe otherwise wouldn't traditionally be involved with K through 12 education. So there's a creativity piece to that fundraising that I think we can actually have a little bit more opportunity with in esports and education than we do with traditional sports.
Great. Thank you so much, Troy. Now, if your question didn't get answered, Troy's going to be around. So the great thing is about this summit is we can all network and talk to each other. So keep it here and stay tuned for the next session. Thanks so much, Troy.
All right. Thanks for having me.